He rested in the lobby and then climbed up to the room again. He bathed in the tub and looked at the exit hole in his lower back in the bathroom mirror. It looked pretty ugly. There were drains in both holes that he wanted to pull out, but he didn't. He pulled loose the plaster on his arm and looked at the deep furrow the bullet had cut there, and then taped the dressing back again. He dressed and put some more of the bills into the back pocket of his jeans, and he fitted the pistol and the magazines into the case, and closed it, and called a cab, and picked up the document case, and went out and down the stairs. He bought a 1978 Ford pickup with 4-wheel drive and a 460 engine from a lot on North Broadway, and paid the man in cash, and got the title notarized in the office, and put the title in the glove box, and drove away. He drove back to the motel, and checked out and left, the Tech 9 under the seat, and the document case, and his bag of clothes sitting in the floor on the passenger side of the truck. At the on-ramp at Bourne, there was a girl hitchhiking, and Moss pulled over and blew the horn, and watched her in the rearview mirror. Running, her blue nylon knapsack slung over one shoulder. She climbed in the truck and looked at him. 15, 16, red hair. "How far are you going?" she said. "Can you drive?" "Yeah, I can drive. It ain't no stick shift, is it?" "No. Get out and come around." She left her knapsack on the seat and got out of the truck and crossed in front of it. Moss pushed the knapsack into the floor and eased himself across, and she got in and put the truck in drive, and they pulled out onto the interstate. "How old are you?" 18. "Bullshit. What are you doing out here? Don't you know it's dangerous to hitchhike?" "Yeah, I know it." He took off his hat and put it on the seat beside him and leaned back and closed his eyes. "Don't go over the speed limit," he said. "You get us stopped by the cops, and you and me both will be in a shitpot full of trouble." "All right. I'm serious. You go over the speed limit, and I'll set your ass out by the side of the road." All right, I got you." He tried to sleep, but he couldn't. He was in a lot of pain. After a while, he sat up and got his hat off the seat and put it on and looked over at the speedometer. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "You can ask. Are you running from the law?" Moss eased himself in the seat and looked at her and looked out at the highway. "What makes you ask that?" "On account of what you said back yonder, about being stopped by the police. What if I was? Then I think I ought to just get out up here. You don't think that. You just want to know where you stand." She looked at him out of the corner of her eye. Moss studied the passing country. "If you spent 3 days with me," he said, "I could have you holding up gas stations. Be no trick at all." She gave him a funny little half smile. "Is that what you do?" she said. "Hold up gas stations?" "No, I don't have to." "Are you hungry?" "I'm all right." "When did you eat last?" "I don't like for people to start asking me when I eat last." "All right. When did you eat last?" "I knowed you was a smartass from the time I got in the truck." "Yeah. Pull off up here at this next exit. It's supposed to be 4 miles. And reach me that machine gun from under the seat." Bell drove slowly across the cattle guard and got out and closed the gate and got back in the truck and drove across the pasture and parked at the well and got out and walked over to the tank. He put his hand in the water and raised a palmful and let it spill again. He took off his hat and passed his wet hand through his hair and looked up at the windmill. He looked out at the slow, dark elliptic of the blades, turning in the dry and wind-bent grass, a low wooden trundling under his feet. Then he just stood there, paying the brim of his hat slowly through his fingers. The posture of a man, perhaps, who has just buried something. "I don't know a damn thing," he said. When he got home, she had supper waiting. He dropped the keys to the pickup in the kitchen drawer and went to the sink to wash his hands. His wife laid a piece of paper on the counter, and he stood looking at it. Did she say where she was? "This is a West Texas number. She just said it was Carla Jean, and give the number. He went to the sideboard and called. She and her grandmother were in a motel outside of El Paso. "I need for you to tell me something," she said. "All right. Is your word good?" "Yes, it is. Even to me. I'd say especially to you." He could hear her breathing in the receiver. Traffic in the distance. "Sheriff?" "Yes, ma'am." "If I tell you where he called from, do you give your word that no harm will come to him?" "I can give my word that no harm will come to him from me. I can do that." After a while, she said, "Okay." The man sitting at the little plywood table that folded up from the wall onto a hinged leg finished writing on the pad of paper and took off the headset and laid it on the table in front of him and passed both hands backwards over the sides of his black hair. He turned and looked toward the rear of the trailer, where the second man was stretched out on the bed. "Listo," he said. The man sat up and swung his legs to the floor. He sat there for a minute, and then he rose and came forward. "You got it?" "I got it." He tore the sheet off the pad and handed it to him, and he read it and folded it and put it into his shirt pocket. Then he reached up and opened one of the kitchen cabinets and took out a camouflage-finished submachine gun and a pair of spare clips and pushed open the door and stepped down into the lot and shut the door behind him. He crossed the gravel to where a black Plymouth Barracuda was, parked, and opened the door and pitched the machine gun in on the far seat and lowered himself in and shut the door and started the engine. He blipped the throttle a couple of times and then pulled out onto the blacktop and turned on the lights and shifted into second gear and went up the road with the car squatting on the big rear tires and fishtailing and the tires whining and unspooling clouds of rubber smoke behind him.